People-first organizations will win in the future of work.
Your only real asset is your people.
We all want purpose-driven work.
HR-led organization is the
I'm
future.
sorry, but leaders don't lead empty desks and empty shop floors.
Welcome to the People Strategy Leaders Show. I'm your host, Sri Chellappa, founder and president of Engagedly, and a serial entrepreneur in technology, films, and music. This is where we talk to people leaders, business strategists, and organizational savants about leading in the time of change. What is working, what is not working, and more importantly, what we should be thinking about. Stick around to the end of the show. We will reveal how you can be our next guest. And now, let's engage. Hello, this is Sri Chellappa again with People Strategy Leaders Podcast. And today I'm graced by Angela Santi, who's joining us all the way from Bologna, Italy. An Italian by birth, cosmopolitan by vocation, Angela Santi is one-of-a-kind boutique-style leadership and lifestyle consultant for rebellious and ambitious elite entrepreneurs, business owners, and executives. With almost 30 years of business experience, 18 as an entrepreneur herself, and a humanistic background, she has pioneered the Dolce Vita leadership and lifestyle mastery model, which we'll talk more about on this podcast. A lively, tailor-made, strategic approach to empowering her clients to thrive by living and leading the Dolce Vita way, so they can smoothly grow their business, have a fantastic lifestyle, and create organizational cultures that improve their employee lives and overall well-being. Well, welcome to the show, Angela. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Hi, Sri. This is fantastic to be here. I'm so thrilled.
You know, I've seen the movie La Dolce Vita, which was set in Rome. It's one of an iconic films that every film student goes through. And I'm also a part-time filmmaker, so that was one of my required watches. And so I'm intrigued on how that applies to, leadership and other lifestyles, if you will. So can you talk to me a little bit about how does that translate to a leadership style? And that's what your focus is.
Yes, sure. So this is an intuition that I had last year, during the pandemic. So the idea was, what if, the word is trembling, the word is changing, people are resigning, there is a new, it's like it's like a war. Everybody kept saying it's like a war. And being Italian, I was like, oh, after the war, we had La Dolce Vita. So the Dolce Vita was the time when we rebuilt everything. So let me tell you a little bit about what La Dolce Vita exactly is and how it's spread for. So again, it's the title of that movie from Fellini, where you see the people that are just enjoying themselves very lightheartedly, and they're just having fun. They wanted to live after and have fun and stay together after those years that were so dark with the war. But basically, the Dolce Vita was the period when all the Italians were rebuilding a nation from scratch. So all the big businesses came, and people, were working very hard. But again, they also wanted to enjoy themselves. They got richer because, they were developing businesses and, like trades and everything, so that they could afford things that weren't a given, say a dishwasher, a car, and all that gave people more free time. And this free time was for them to stay with friends, with family, etc. So I was like, what if we are about to rewrite our future and we can decide what our future will be? We have to be, as leaders, we have to be the change makers. So if we apply the concept of La Dolce Vita, which is being committed, work hard when it comes to work hard, be resilient, face the chaos of life, face the VUCA world, but also be able to have fun and to enjoy yourself when it's the time to enjoy yourself, and especially to give yourself permission, everything changes. So I have developed this methodology called the Vita, this Dolce Vita sweet life. Vita means life and Dolce means sweet. And Vita is an acronym for Vitality, Illumination, Techniques, and Assets, that are 4 pillars that you have to have aligned and in balance to yourself, your mission in life, your mission in business, and then you can have a La Dolce Vita. From there, you can bring La Dolce Vita into your organizations.
So is this something that you came up with on your own, or was it inspired by some Italian style of management, or where was the origin for all of this?
It's a mixture, because more than Italian style of management, it's inspired by the Italian way of being and the Italian cultural approach to things. In Italy, we don't have a strong management culture, meaning schools, etc. Yes, we do have, but they don't come, from far away. We are more inclined to be like human connectors, to treat our people as a family, to, like to stay together, to talk, to respect people, to know our employees by name. And actually, I worked in my company, my family company, for almost 20 years, and I was in charge of organizational culture and HR. So we had like 600 employees, and I knew everyone by name. In Italy, we have a very strong culture with the unions. Unions are very strong, and in my company, the unions never enter, because every person that was working with us was respected. And we also pioneered projects to make people feel at home when they were at work. And it was back in 1993. So when it wasn't, like this employee experience, etc., was in fashion. So this is really a mixture from the Italian culture, my experience as a business owner and a manager. And after that, I became a consultant. So I also saw other people businesses here, and I saw that the most successful ones were those where people were respected, where people were understood, and everyone was in the right place. When the right person is in the right place, there is a Dolce Vita at work.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The right person, the right place, you focus on their strength and not put them in a place where they're not expected to be that good at, and they end up not succeeding, and then you blame that person. That model doesn't work very well. So talking about the Vita, the acronym, can you dwell a little bit more details into what does VITA really stand for, and how do they implement that in your leadership style?
Yes. So first of all, I would like to say that it's very important that leaders understand that they have to be the first ones to embrace, embody, and implement the Vita acronym, and not, call consultants to fix their team, because the company culture, the company environment, everything depends on the leader, okay? And there must be a consistency. So now I explain what this environment, what these 4 pillars are. So V stands for vitality. So you as a leader must ensure that you have the right habits that keep you engaged, that keep you your brain power, that keep you vitality and energy. That means eat the right thing, exercise, go out, take time for yourself, and all these healthy habits. So illumination is the spiritual, is the mindset approach, is being in the flow, being in your zone of genius. Techniques are all systems and strategy, and like the hard work ones, and also everything that helps you be very committed and work smarter, not harder. And assets are your skills, your belief system, which sometimes is not an asset, and the most important asset is yourself. So you have to respect yourself and to prioritize yourself. So when you embody this as a leader, and you will see transformation in your personal life, but also in the way you approach and you perform in business, because the more you prioritize yourself. And the more these 4 dimensions are aligned and in balance, the more productive, the more focused, the better decisions you make, because you take time off. And it also has to do with the alternation of working and leisure, working and idleness even. So not doing and not doing, that comes from the Roman Empire, like from the ancient Italian origins. Then only when you understand and embody this, you can understand that your people need it too. And people are asking for it because, all those people that are now quiet quitting, they're just asking for more time for themselves, a better life quality, etc. So it's not quitting, it's just asking what they need. And you have to understand to say yes. So then you can bring the model into your organizational culture. So then vitality is the organizational well-being. It's the emotional intelligence, is keeping, all the energy of your workplace high. Illumination is value, culture, self-motivated people, is trust, because if you are trusted, by your leader, you are self-motivated and you are enlightened. And it's also, as we were saying before, the right person in the right job, in the right place. Techniques are against strategies and systems, and it's also delegation, communication, and all that, like organizational strategies, etc. Assets. It's of course your product, but it's also your people and the culture. So again, if you don't understand and you don't embody this, you are not able to implement it. That's why I generally start with the leader and help the leader implement everything in the organization.
Yeah, and that's a big ask sometimes, because you are, if you are, especially in America, right? We are used to working really hard, very competitive. There is no easy space to play in, and in general, I think most Americans feel overworked because of all the commitments they have at work and sometimes at home and all the other things that goes on. I think during the pandemic, it was like a wake up call for at least people in the U.S. And I think I see that across the board now. Even in my teams that we work in India, and India also has a very strong hard work culture as well, like many of the Asian countries there. And there's a little bit of acknowledgement that maybe that's not how we want to work anymore. The Gen Z is basically revolting in some ways. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? To say that,
Yes.
hey, there's more to life than just work, and more work. And also, work only makes sense if it's meaningful to them and it gives them energy and it does not drain energy. So is that what you're seeing as well, the shift in the trend right now?
Yes, precisely. I tell you that the life quality has always been my beacon. But when I was working in my corporate, I forgot this because I was so passionate, that I was on the work, on the hustle mentality, and I was missing so much. And then I had a wake-up call. So during the pandemic, I was like everybody seeing all the people resigning and everything. I was like, finally, there is a huge wake-up call. This is very important because you brought about a very important theme, the generation gap. So I am an X-Gen, and I think that the X-Gen is the last generation that is willing to work and to sacrifice for work. Is the last generation that is, like aiming at finding a place to work and spend all their life there. All the other generations are not. And I tell you, they are right. So in Italy, don't get me wrong, we're not only, like from the movies, the Italians are only playing mandolino and eating and doing nothing. No, the Italians are extremely hard workers, but when it comes to stop working and enjoying, they do that. So the most workaholic Italian doesn't resemble the laziest American. So this is very important because the pandemic also brought up the importance of life, the value of life. And the mentality that I'm trying to get across, with people is we work to live. We don't live to work. And this doesn't mean that we're not committed. So let's stop measuring commitment by the time the hours that you're sitting at your desk. And by the way, maybe you're not even working. You're just pretending to work. We've done this, everybody. So let's change the approach. And let's find a way where people can really meet the company objectives without sacrificing their way. And this is the way, because the X gen and the Z gen, as you said, is not willing to sacrifice their life anymore. And sooner or later, all these companies that don't listen to this needs, to these people, will not find talent anymore because
Right.
they don't care.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it about now is that they have the power. The employees have the power, right? And
Yes.
Gen Z is and the millennials to some extent are leading the way and saying, no more. If I don't find a right work culture, I'll quit. If I have a toxic manager, I'll quit. If I'm not in the right role, I'll quit. Or maybe I'll quit, which is basically like I'll be disengaged and I'll just show up at 8:30 and leave at 5 or whatever time it is. And the organizations have very little options at this point because the talent pool has shrunk too. At least in the US, several million people, I don't know the exact number, quit working completely. They are not coming back. They either retired early or decided that they just want to have one person in their family adult work and stay home, or maybe they want to pursue some other passion, maybe they want to start a business or whatever that is. So we've lost a ton of talent and available. So even with the recession on our horizon, we might be already in a recession. I don't know. There's a lot of debate about that, but I don't think that's going to solve the talent problem. In the past, recessions would solve the talent problem. It would give the power back to the employers. This time, it's not going to be that. So if employers are thinking, hey, there'll be recession, I'll lay off a bunch of people, and then when the market goes up again, I'll try to hire other people back. No, you're not going to be able to do that. If you're going to lay off people, maybe do it in the most humane way you can possibly do, and not be doing it over email, which a lot of companies have done that. And obviously those things get amplified now because of social media as well. I think we are in a generational trend of shrinking workforce. I don't think it's going to change this year, next year, maybe not for 10 years, maybe for a long time. And all this promise of AI and automation replacing workers is not true either. We are augmenting work, but we are creating more jobs overall. We are creating more types of jobs and more economic growth that's going to still require skilled people to do. Maybe we don't need necessarily low skilled people anymore, because I think that's actually a good thing, because people want to do some meaningful work and not just be screwing bolts in a car meaninglessly, if you will. So anyway, that's my thought process. What is your opinion on that?
I totally agree with you, and I would like to say that this is a reversible trend. Many, like flexibility or hybrid work, or many measures that were adopted during the pandemic now are right. And the employees are asking for them. And if there is not this kind of things that they want better trainings and, like well-being things, etc., they quit. And by the way, it's very interesting. I was reading an article on Forbes about the HR team burnout. So being an HR now is very, very, very frustrating, because, well, first they were just doing they were key in the organization, always have been key in the organization, but they were never valued as such a key role. During the pandemic, they became the mom. They became, they had to acquire many more roles, even on the human side, and also mediate between the management, the higher management and the people. So now they are not finding people, and the whole recruitment process sometimes is useless, because you recruit, you do all the things, and then when the person doesn't find something that they don't like, they quit. So it's very difficult to find the right talent, and it's very difficult to retain talent. So something has to be done. On the other side, I wanted to say that leaders and managers should be helped, because those toxic people, maybe they're toxic because it's their mentality. Maybe they're toxic because there is such a social pressure on them, because the people, the higher levels push them to get their results. So it's really something that has to be seen in a holistic way. And then, yes, these younger generations are changing, are reshaping the workplace culture, and are also reshaping the way we live. Because if I think about my generation, what we want a house, where to live with a family and to have certain experiences, but we want to have, something burnt to stay there. Younger people don't care. Even the Italians, they live, all students live together. Maybe they want to become, to travel the world, to work remotely. So everything is changed. Needs are changed. So we have to change.
Yes.
And make a move towards people, which is communicate with people and become Dolce Vita people, leaders, because you want to really understand who are the people that are working with you, and trying to find this sweet spot between the company objective and the people objective, so that one can leverage the other and fulfill each other's dream and vision.
Yeah, and I think so. From what you're talking about with the Dolce Vita model of approach, really needs to be embodied at the leadership level before it can be permeated across the organization, across all the levels below them. So that's essentially how it needs to work, and I completely agree with that approach. So as you're looking at looking forward, so how is it possible to be, you said you can be wildly successful with this. Can you talk about a couple of examples where you've seen this, where you've implemented this, and where there's a transformational change that resulted from this approach?
Yeah, definitely. For instance, it comes to my mind, one of my clients. So he when he came to me, as he was he is a high achiever, very, very, very hard to himself. He was also very stressed with himself, with his family, and with the people that were working with him. So all the relationships were terrible. And he was also very frustrated, and he was working a lot, but never, how can I say, he was achieving results, but in a very hard way, at a very high price, because again, his family was almost hating it, because he was coming home nervous, don't talk to anyone, like slam the door and everything. So like his wife was saying, okay, so I will go away if you continue like this. And this, of course, affected his performance at work, because he had many things. So he was also very controller. So micromanaging all the time, never trusting people. I am the one who can do it very good, etc. So what we did, and this is something that I always encourage my clients to do, is to do a quiz that I have created, which is similar to the Wheel of Life. It's the Wheel of La Dolce Vita. It's a very simple tool where you measure certain areas of your life and of your approach to life and to business, and understand where you are. So from there, we found the point to leverage, and we work on that. We also work very clearly on the 4 pillars. So on his vitality, on his mindset, on his finding something that lighted him up, because he didn't have a hobby. He was just working, and really his life sucked. And then techniques to implement that. And we also work on his skills. So after all, what happened, that he understood that he has to empower his people, and that if his people are empowered, they perform better. And so people were better performing, the relationship at work were better, and also his life went much better. And because he started to trust his people, he also had more free time for himself, for the family. And especially he understood that the priority was to take time for himself, which was a struggle in the beginning. And he refused, taking time for himself, because, there is recession and there is pandemic and there is everything. So I'm not doing it. And I said, I'm forcing you to do that. And then, yes, I am forcing. I want to see from your cell phone that you are in a park. Okay. And then now, and this is just one example, a very small example, but very powerful. And, now sometimes he calls me, oh, you know what? I'm taking some time for myself. I'm taking a vacation. Now he's scheduling his vacation in advance, which gives him the opportunity to detach from the day-to-day life and at business and at work and at home, and see things way better. Because if you're always into, like, in your office, you are in a box and you don't see out of that box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Angela, love it. I absolutely love it. I'm obviously a fan of the film, and now I'm a fan of this lifestyle. I have to tell you, there are elements of Dolce Vita that I have embraced, and there's elements that I still have some work to do. And I really appreciate, your insight and your valuable discovery that this Dolce Vita is a practice that leadership should adopt so that the rest of the organization can also thrive. So I really, really appreciate your time here, Angela. How can people reach you? Where can they find you? Can you give some more insight into that?
Sure. They can reach me at my website, Angela Santi, SANTI.IT, like Italia, or on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn and I like to connect. And so I really encourage people to go and discover me on LinkedIn. And also, if they go into my website, they will find this quiz that I encourage them to take and discover how much Dolce Vita they are bringing into their life, and what are, what can a Dolce Vita do for them.
Thank you, Angela. Guess what I'm going to be doing next is taking that quiz. So
great.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Angela. Again, let's all live a Dolce Vita life. And I hope the audience got something very valuable out of this. I certainly did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure and honor to be your guest. And bye, everybody. Ciao.
Ciao. Sri Chellappa here. Thank you so much for listening to the People Strategy Leaders podcast. If you are a successful leader or a people strategist who would like to be on this program, please visit engagedly.com/People Strategy Leaders podcast. If you got something out of this interview, would you share this episode on social media? If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show, and include the hashtag People Strategy Leaders. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter @Sri Chellappa. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. And thank you to Patrick Ramsey, sound engineer at Kalinga Production Studios, for recording and mixing this show.